Hello, 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 and welcome back to some more nice and glorious Rune Factory. I accidentally clicked the screen. That was unfortunate. Let's talk to our waifu. It doesn't particularly matter to us. What is the weather gonna be tomorrow? Okay, that's good. Hello and welcome back to some more Rune Factory, magic keyword smash or pass. Yay, fun, right?
More of them?
Yes. You said you wanted to, go through the last little bit, right?
I thought we finished them. What is there?
Technically this would be, magic ability words smash or pass.
Okay.
Addendum. Cards with addendum have additional effects if cast during the controller's main phase. All cards with addendum are either instants or permanents with flash.
I mean, smash, I guess?
Cool.
Literally just means extra effects, right?
Yeah, extra effects if you cast it as a sorcery. Essentially.
Okay.
Battalion. A creature ability word, which gives an advantage whenever the creature attacks with at least 2 other creatures. So you have to attack with at least... So if you attack with at least 3 creatures, and at least one of them has Battalion, Battalion will trigger.
What does Battalion do?
Different things depending on the creature itself.
So, just a trigger.
Yes, it is a... Yes.
A situational trigger.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. The stuff that Battalion can do.
Only 2 things specifically come to mind. One of them is it gives the Battalion creature, I think it was +5/+5 until end of turn. And another one was you get to choose how the opponent blocks. Those are the only 2 I can remember, but there are probably lots that it's like, hey, this gets +1/+1 or something. Or like
So
Battalion draw a card.
So basically, the effects of what Battalion can do is available without the restriction of the condition on other cards.
Yeah. With the other 2 cards, all you have to do is attack with them.
Yeah, pass.
Alright, Blood Rush. For a cost, Blood Rush allows a creature card to be discarded to give a temporary boost to an attacking creature equal to the discarded creature's power and toughness, and also temporarily granting the discarded creature's abilities.
Okay. Somehow none of that stuck in my brain.
So, if you have a creature with Blood Rush in your hand, you can pay a cost and discard it, and give an attacking creature a boost. The boost is equal to the Blood Rush creature's power and toughness, and the creature will gain... The attacking creature will gain the Blood Rushing creature's abilities.
Forever or just for that turn?
I believe just till end of turn.
Pass.
Yeah. There's almost nothing in Magic that gives abilities forever unless it's represented by some sort of permanent thing. Like an aura or like putting a counter on. As far as I'm aware in Magic the Gathering, there's only one thing that actually gives a permanent change to a creature. Channel. All cards with Channel have the ability to be discarded for a cost to yield a specified effect.
So channel is discard a card and an effect will happen.
Pay a cost. I think you also have to pay a cost and discard it to do a thing. Let me look up some channel cards.
Wow.
Because the thing that pops up is the card channel, which was busted overpowered.
Yeah, pass on that too.
You don't even know what the card does.
You're right, I don't. Pass.
Yeah, the card channel, it costs green. Until end of turn, whenever you would spend a generic mana, you can instead pay 1 life to get that 1 mana. Chroma. Chroma is an ability of a permanent or spell that checks for specific mana symbols of cards in specific zones. When a card with Chroma is played, it will indicate a specified effect or characteristic defining ability and repeat it for every color symbol in the checked zone. So, like, you know how, like, Magic cards have, like, the pips to designate how much of certain mana you have to pay?
Sure.
Chroma checks those colored pips and does a thing for that. Like, creatures you control get +X till end of turn, where X is the amount of white pips in permanents you control. For example. Or, you know, gain X life, where X is your Chroma. Or something like.
I see.
So you want to have a lot of permanents out to get a nice big boost with Chroma. Pass, alright. Domain. Domain refers to an effect that might be stronger or weaker depending on the number of basic land types, plains, island, swamp, mountain, and or forest, among lands a player controls. So, like, hey, this card costs 1 less for each, you know, basic land type you have, or this creature's power and toughness are each equal to number of different basic land types or something. So it wants you to have lots of different basic land types.
Smash, I guess?
Interesting. Enrage. A creature-exclusive ability word, indicating abilities that trigger whenever the creature is dealt damage.
Wait, so it's Yang's ability.
Essentially, yes, but yeah. Whenever this creature is dealt damage, do a thing. I believe there's like a 1/1 creature that's like, when this is dealt damage, make a 3/3 token. Or something.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yes.
Did I not say smash yet? Smash.
No. Fateful Hour. Cards with Fateful Hour gain an additional ability if controlled by a player with 5 life or less. No, normally in Magic you start with 20 life.
Wait, Is that beneficial or... Say it again one more time.
Cards with Fateful Hour gain an additional ability if controlled by a player with 5 life or less.
Oh. That'd be pretty weird to be effectively counting on, having your life going down. So I'm gonna say pass.
Alright. Ferocious. Cards with Ferocious gain an additional ability if the controller controls a creature with power 4 or more.
Again, it's one of those weird, like, conditional...
Yep.
Smash, I guess, since that seems like a condition that would come up fairly frequently anyways.
Yeah, pretty easy to get, yeah. Grandeur. Discard another card named name of card effect. This was originally made before Commander was a format and printed on Legendary Permanents. So if you have, if you have some legendary creature out, draw another copy of it. Normally in Magic, that would be a bad thing because you can't have 2 of the same legendary permanent out at once. But with Grandeur, you could then discard the extra copy to do a thing.
I see. Sure.
Yeah. Normally in Commander it doesn't come up because Commander is singleton and all, but I made a deck based off of a Grandeur effect and it went really well. Hellbent. Cards with this ability would have greater effects if the controller has no cards in their hand. This might be like a 1/1 creature, but it becomes a 3/3 if you don't have any cards.
I mean, that's certainly a weird strategy if you ask me, but to each their own.
Smash or pass?
I guess smash. I don't think I would want to use it, but...
Heroic. Cards with their heroic ability would gain an advantage when targeted with a spell. So it might be like, hey, whenever this is targeted, put a +1/+1 counter on this.
Interesting. Smash.
Cool. Imprint. It appears only on artifacts and creatures. All cards with Imprint either have an activated or triggered ability, which allows the player to exile a card to grant abilities to the artifact with Imprint.
Sure.
So, yeah. A couple of notable ones are 4-mana artifacts of like, when this enters the battlefield, exile a card from your hand of a certain type. You can pay some mana and tap it to copy that card. Join Forces. Specifically a multiplayer keyword. An effect detonated with Join Forces allows all players to contribute to it, usually by paying mana, although the effect might not be mutually beneficial.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like one of those things where it's just like, the circumstances in which that would be beneficial are...
Like, there's a Join Forces card that's a board wipe.
Claire, did you think I didn't notice that?
I was hoping you wouldn't.
Did you think I wasn't actually watching?
Yes. To be fair, I didn't try to attack the goblin. My axe just moved by itself and killed the goblin. It didn't even kill the goblin. It just attacked the goblin by itself.
Morning.
So yeah, so there's like a join forces card that's like a board wipe. So it's like, hey, if someone's going off strong in like a commander game, you can side with someone else like, hey, this thing costs more mana than I have access to right now. You pitch in some, I play the card, we work together, we wipe their board.
Hmm.
Morning.
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 Yeah, okay. Smash.
Cool. Kinship. Kinship is an ability word. All cards with kinship are creatures that check at the beginning of the controller's upkeep the top card of that player's deck. If it shares a creature type with the creature that has kinship, the player may reveal the card for a bonus effect.
Interesting.
So I think there's like an elf where it's like kinship. If you check at your upkeep and you have an elf on top, you can reveal it and draw a card.
Nice.
Good morning.
So it's basically luck-based.
Yes, although if you have a lot of creatures of that same type in your deck, then you'll likely get the ability more often.
Fair enough. Sure.
Cool. Landfall.
Morning.
Landfall is an ability that triggers whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control.
I mean, that happens pretty often, so I'd say sure.
Yep. Metalcraft. Cards with Metalcraft gain an extra ability while their controller controls 3 or more artifacts.
How did I know it's going to involve artifacts? Sure.
Morbid. Cards with Morbid gain an additional effect during a turn in which a creature has died.
Just a creature?
Just any creature, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Radiance. The Radiance ability word denotes abilities that target one permanent, but affect all permanents of the same type that share a color with the target. So it might be like, target creature, and all creatures that share a color with it get like +1/+1 till end of turn.
Interesting. Yeah, I suppose.
Cool. Raid. Shadow Legends. Not a sponsor. A card with Raid gains an additional effect if the controller attacked the turn that they are played. You don't have to have hit a player, you just have to have attacked.
I see.
Famously, I used a card with Raid to win a game of Commander with Exodia.
I think you told me about that once.
Yeah, I told you, it's famous.
You're basically a living urban legend.
Yeah, I know I am. Can you imagine how much more popular or unpopular I'd be if I destroyed an entire table's worth of Commander games?
You're a strange one. MRS plays.
So what do you think of the keyword? Or the ability word, I mean.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Rally. Keyword given to... Right. A creature with rally ability triggers whenever an ally enters the battlefield under their control and gives some kind of bonus to all of that player's creatures, even non-ally creatures. I think I'm just getting hammered.
Hello, good afternoon.
Sure.
Alright. Sweep. An ability word used on spells with effects, which can be strengthened by returning any number of lands of a single basic land type to their owner's hands.
Pass.
So, there are literally only 4 cards with sweep, and Mark Rosewater has stated that giving this an ability word was, quote, a mistake, unquote.
Yeah, it seems like a mistake to me.
Threshold. Whenever a player has 7 or more cards in the graveyard, their cards gain any threshold abilities they might have. A player cannot activate an ability tied to threshold unless they have 7 or more cards in their graveyard.
Sure.
Cool. Undergrowth. Undergrowth provides benefits depending on the number of creatures in the player's graveyard.
Wait, say that again?
Undergrowth provides benefits depending on the number of creatures in the player's graveyard.
Oh, in the players. For some reason I thought you said in the opposing players.
Nah. That would be fun.
Fun is an interesting word for it. Did I did say
Yes?
Smash, right?
You haven't said anything yet.
I thought I said Smash like twice.
Oh. I thought you were just singing along to the music.
Yeah,
And
I
now...
was, because I was waiting for you to say the next thing.
Oh. And now a few more keywords. So, we have the ever-famous banding, obvious Smash. Bury. The term bury or buried shorthand for a two-part effect, destroying a permanent and preventing that permanent from regenerating.
That sounds bad.
Notably, you generally bury other people's things.
Oh, okay.
So you might have an effect that's like bury target creature.
Gotcha.
Because, like, get it? You put it into their graveyard. You bury it.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Smash or pass for the terminology of bury.
Pass.
That's fair. Fear. And there we have our demonstration. Creatures with fear cannot be blocked except by black creatures and artifact creatures.
Hi. Afternoon.
How many cards have that ability?
You know what? Since you asked, let me go and try to check.
Because that sounds like it can't be attacked by 2/3 of all creatures, basically.
Yeah.
Assuming an approximately equal distribution of creatures across all 5 colors and colorless.
It looks like there's a few dozen creatures with fear. Or stuff that gives fear.
That still seems like that just seems very overpowered. Because it's basically protection from everything other. Well, I guess it's not protection because it's only creatures. It can't be attacked by, right?
Well, no. It can't be blocked by.
Can't be blocked by. Okay, that's less overpowered.
Yes. Creatures don't get attacked.
Skill bill. That's I mean, that's a smash for usefulness, but I would not want to have an opponent have that.
Alright. Well, alongside fear is the mechanic that replaced fear, intimidate. A creature with intimidate cannot be blocked except by artifact creatures and creatures that share a color with it. So if you have a mono black creature, it doesn't matter if it has fear or intimidate.
I see.
If you have a colorless creature with intimidate, it can only be blocked by artifact creatures.
That seems broken. Are there any artifact creatures with intimidate?
Alright, you know what? Let's look this up.
And I do mean like natively, not is there a way to get fear onto one?
Okay, intimidate and colorless. Doesn't look like it, no. There are 2 equipments that give intimidate, but that's all that pops up.
Interesting. seems underutilized, at least for the OP aspect of it. But yeah, okay, sure, that's a smash.
Alright. Land home. A creature with land home may only attack a player who controls a land of the specified land type and must be sacrificed if its controller does not control at least one land of that same type.
Pass. Very strong pass.
Notably, Landhome is unique in that it's the only printed keyworded ability to later be retroactively removed from the rules.
How many cards had it?
Alright, let's see. Oh, let's try to find out. Wait. So I have to type it in a specific way because it's been changed. Alright. Alright, was that 14? It looks like 14 ability creatures have some sort of land home ability.
Had. Don't you mean had, right?
Had. Will have some form of, like, the conditions required for land home.
So basically, land home lost its like keyword status or whatever, but the one that the person said like was explicitly a mistake, making it into an ability word, that one didn't get completely retconned.
Correct. That one is still, like, in the Oracle text, yes.
Why do you play this game again?
Pardon?
Why do you play this game again?
It's fun. It's fun to mess with the rules.
Is it?
I find it fun. Especially banding. Banding is a lot of fun. Here's one we've talked about briefly. Land Walk. Land type Walk. A creature with this ability cannot be blocked while the defending player controls at least one land with the printed land type. So like Swamp Walk or Island Walk or something.
Yeah.
Land Walk is not limited to the 5 basic lands. For example, there is Legendary Land Walk, Snow Land Walk, and non-basic Land Walk.
And of course there was Venom Walk.
Not to mention, Snow-Covered Plains Walk. So, smash or pass on land walking?
Sure.
Yeah. Some people believe that Landwalk as a thing was kind of phased out because people were confusing Planeswalk with Planeswalkers.
Well, that's because, you know, the majority of people who play the game are American.
Speaking of phasing something out, phasing! Cards with the cards with the status phased out are treated as though they do not exist, except for when it comes to cards that specifically interact with phased out cards. Beginning of each player's turn, during the untap step but before they untap, all permanents the player controls which have phasing become phased out, and at the same time, anything that is phased out gets phased in. If a permanent has stuff attached to it while it phases out, all of the stuff attached to it also phases out.
Now, does that mean only, like, for defensive purposes it's treated as if it doesn't exist? Or can it not do anything either?
It is treated as if it is not there, period. Doesn't matter what it is or what it would otherwise do, it's not there. Just... You just have to pretend that it is gone.
So, you can't use something with phasing to attack.
You can use something with phasing to attack if it's currently phased in. If it has phased out, then no, you cannot.
How do you phase something back in if you're supposed to treat it like it doesn't exist?
At the beginning of your untap step, before you untap, all of your stuff that's phased out phases back in.
I see.
Yeah. Notably, because something phasing out does not leave the battlefield, you can phase out someone's commander, and they are not allowed to put it back in the command zone. They just don't have their commander until their next turn. Also notably with phasing, if you can skip a player's untap step, then their stuff does not phase back in.
Intriguing. It sounds, honestly, it's one of those things where it's just like, it sounds too overpowered. I'm gonna say pass.
You're going to say pass because you think it's too good?
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Like it's one thing to use, you know, something like banding, you know, where it's just like, honestly, the main advantage you have with banding is that most people don't understand how it works. Like, let's be honest here, that is your main advantage.
I mean, true, but still. Alright, oh, you should be familiar with this term. Regenerate.
Like a troll?
I believe every non-changeling troll in Magic does have Regenerate, yes. To regenerate a creature means to put a regeneration shield on it. The next time the affected permanent would be destroyed, either due to damage or destroy effect. Instead of being destroyed, the permanent becomes tapped, gets removed from combat, and has all damage removed from it.
Okay.
Generally, it was only printed for creature cards, but technically any permanent could be regenerated. So there's one so like a lot of trolls are like, pay some amount of mana, regenerate this creature, so you can like keep blocking with it every turn as long as you can keep paying the cost if it would be destroyed. There's one troll, and it might be legendary, I'm not sure. That's just, if this would be destroyed, regenerate it.
Oh, so it's effectively the only way to get rid of it would be exiling it.
Yeah, essentially. Exiling it, bouncing it, forcing it to be sacrificed. Or one of the things that destroys a creature without allowing it to be regenerated. But for every other case of regenerate, you have to pay at least some mana for it. But, again, if you can block with the same creature like 4 turns in a row, that's pretty useful.
True.
So smash or pass on regenerate.
Oh, smash. Definitely
Cool.
smash.
Shroud. A player or permanent with Shroud cannot be the target of spells or abilities, period. So if your creature has Shroud, you are not allowed to target it with anything.
Interesting. So basically once... Oh, wait. So if it has Shroud, it just is as it is.
Yeah, it cannot be targeted. It is a worse version of Hexproof because it's, at least with Hexproof, you can target your own creature.
Yeah. If anything, though, I think it makes it more balanced. I'm gonna say smash on it.
Cool. Now here's the one that was getting, I want to say animated about in the end of the last episode. Substance. Substance was a static ability with no effect which was never printed on a Magic card. It was originally created for the Magic the Gathering online release of Mirage, as a cycle of cards such as Armor of Thorns did not work as originally intended under the rules established with the release of 6th edition. These cards were all enchantments that could be played as instants but only lasted for 1 turn if played as an instant. Under the newer rules, the original warding would cause the enchantment to leave the battlefield before damage was removed from creatures. So if you, say, flash in one of these auras to give your creature a toughness boost to allow it to survive combat, it would still die on the end step, which is not what was intended. The creation of Substance restored the card's intended functionality. With the rule changes announced in July 2009, all cards edited to use this keyword were re-edited to no longer use it. The official text of such cards now refers to the cleanup step explicitly. This maintained the same functionality as the Substance keyword, without some unintended rules quirks.
Interesting.
So Substance was never actually printed on a card, and was actually removed from all cards that it was given to after a few years when they found a different way to make use of the rules. Although, very rarely in Magic conversation, Substance will still be brought up as a point of argument for why a card works in a certain way. because it has a substance to it. But it is not a wood, at least as it is not printed on any magic cards or in their oracle text. So substance, smash or pass?
I still don't quite get what it's supposed to... Okay, right. It's a temper... Okay, I get it. Pass. Pass.
Yeah, that's fair. And that
If
is
they couldn't
the
figure out
end
how
of
to
the page.
implement it properly, then yeah, pass.
Yeah. There's a video I want to show you. You were mentioning already how complicated Magic the Gathering seems to be as a game. Magic the Gathering is so complicated of a game, it's Turing complete. I'm flippin' not joking. Someone made a computer out of a Magic the Gathering game.
I don't doubt you.
We can watch the video later. It's kind of funny.
I kind of want to take your word for it.
Cause like, you see stuff like, oh hey, I made a working computer in like Minecraft, whatever. I made a working computer in, I don't know, Planet Zomboid or stuff, but like, those are already video games, so they already have computers to work and stuff. I made a computer in Magic the Gathering? So like, if you made just the right deck, put in the right inputs, and played the game fast enough, could Magic the Gathering run Doom?
Probably. I mean, here's the thing. They managed to get Doom running on a birth control test.
I kind of really want to see some YouTube channel where the entire thing is that they just do Let's Plays of Doom over and over again, but on like increasingly absurd things. Yeah. Playing Doom on a children's toy. Playing Doom on a watch. I've already seen playing Doom on a calculator.
You know, there's a video I saw recently. Someone playing Tetris on like a hotel.
Oh yeah, with the lights, you mean?
Yeah. Imagine
Yeah.
playing Doom on an office building or hotel. Or series.
Morning.
I thought... Yeah, like, now that would be... weird. Yeah. Welcome back to Doom Patrol! Can I play Doom on this building?
Like, the thing is, like, just because of the scale of everything, like, you would have to pick, like, a series of buildings that are just lined up perfectly with nothing, like, in front of them for at least a couple of city blocks. So you could actually be far enough away to actually be able to see everything.
Hey, is there a...
Good morning.
Hi.
Can you play Doom in Doom?
I believe that in the new Doom games, yes, you can play classic Doom.
Morning. Morning.
So... But yeah, Magic the Gathering. My favorite commander deck is actually the first Magic deck that I ever made. I saw all of the colors of stuff, and I was all like, cool, pass. Yeah, someone did Smash or Pass Magic Colors with me to try to figure out what I'd like to play, but I'm ace, so I passed on all of them.
Even colorless?
Colors isn't a color.
Oh, so they didn't ask you about that one.
Back before I played Magic, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'd go to weekly, like, local tournament. And the card shop that was running the game, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Events, had a, like, case, back display thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Selling Magic cards. And in that case, I saw a Platinum Angel. Now, you can't lose the game when your opponents can't win the game is not an effect that's in Yu-Gi-Oh! At least it wasn't back when I played. And I actually remember thinking to myself, if I ever got into Magic, that would be my favorite card. Sure enough, within the next few months, a friend of mine did get me into playing Magic the Gathering. And then I was all like, cool. Here, let me go and buy this Platinum Angel.
I mean, I'll be honest, the first time someone got me to play Magic the Gathering, I was introduced to Platinum Angel, and I was like, okay, I immediately like this, especially since I barely understand the game.
Morning.
So, giving me something that makes it so I can't lose, and the other players can't win, when I'm still trying to figure out how the hell you play, seems good to me.
Oh, speaking of which, there's a game that ran out of, So you've heard of Platinum Angel, have you heard of Abyssal Persecutor?
No.
You can't win the game, and your opponents can't lose the game.
Why would you want to put that into play?
Because it's like a 4-mana 6/6 with, like, flying and I think trample. So the idea, get that out as a nice beat stick, and then once your opponent's down at 0, you sacrifice it.
Or,
But
isn't there a way to put one of your creatures under the control of another player?
yes, there is. And there's a video of an EDH game where specifically that happens. Someone plays it, gives it to someone else, and then another player clones it, so nobody can lose the game anymore. It was fabulous.
I mean, there's another way you can do that. Having it and Platinum Angel out on this under the control of the same player.
Yep.
Nobody can win, nobody can lose.
Gosh. When I was first in EDH, I eventually got enough cards to make a colorless deck, and I got introduced to Commander, so I made a Commander deck instead of, like, Standard or Modern or whatever. Or Legacy or Vintage, gosh. And my original method of winning was, Otherworld Atlas. You can tap it to put a charge count on it, or tap it and each player draws cards equal to the number of charge counters on it. So my whole method of winning was to do a combo where I'd get 100 counters on it, put out Platinum Angel, and then tap it and have everybody draw 100 cards. Which would make everybody lose the game, because they can't draw 100 cards. But I can't lose the game, because Platinum Angel! And if someone wanted to, say, remove my Platinum Angel in response, I can respond to them by untapping and retapping my Atlas to make everyone draw another 100 cards. Yeah. Of course, eventually that deck became strong enough where I can only reasonably play it in competitive Commander CEDH games. Because it's pretty good.
I just had a thought. I'm now just thinking the combo of just absolute, just BS. Platinum Angel, and the one that you said that is effectively the opposite effect.
Abyssal Persecutor.
And then you put out the main 6.
Every pony wins, except no pony can win.
Exactly.
Oh god.
How do you think that would actually work? Like the everybody win, everybody wins. Like in a competitive situation.
There is no precedent for multiple people. No wait, I think it's the rules. I'm trying to remember the exact ruling, because I think there's a thing of if 2 or more different people would win a game of Magic at the same time, it just becomes a draw. I think is the official ruling.
Oh. So technically nobody wins.
Yeah. I think that's the ruling. I do know that there's a ruling that if somebody would win the game and lose the game at literally the same time, they lose the game. But it's also literally impossible for that to happen. There's a ruling for it because during a small window of time it was possible. But then the rules got changed, which made that possibility no longer applicable. So now there's just a rule there that cannot apply.
I mean, presumably you could. Presumably one could, again, just have every player draw out.
That would just make everybody lose the game. Which would be a draw.
Oh.
Other people losing does not automatically mean you win. You win if you're the last person who has not yet lost the game, but since you're losing the game at the same time, you don't win.
So, actually, here's an interesting thought. You put out Platinum Angel, and then do the main 6.
Because...
Everybody wins, except everybody else can't win, so you're the only one who wins.
Yep, you just win in that case. I do remember one game was literally one state-based ability away from losing the game. State-based abilities are the things that happen between people getting priority. If a creature takes enough damage to die, state-based actions are what make the thing die. If a person draws too many cards, state-based actions are what kills the player. If a player, goes down to 0 life, state-based actions are what kill them. State-based actions happen constantly. I was playing a commander game where my commander had an ability that would damage all creatures and all players the same amount. And I used the ability with for enough damage to bring all players to 0 or less life. And normally that would mean everybody loses and the game is a draw. However, I had Platinum Angel out, and even though Platinum Angel took enough damage to die at the same time, when state-based actions get checked the first time, it sees that I have Platinum Angel, even though it's also taking away Platinum Angel, so I do not die on the first wave of state-based actions. But then the second wave of state-based actions don't happen because I'm the only person in the game.
Interesting.
Because I had Platinum Angel.
Hi. Afternoon.
The other players really argued against that for me, but eventually we managed to find a judge, and the judge agreed with me that, strictly speaking, yeah, that works. Platinum Angel, in her dying breath, was able to keep me alive. Also, in the interests of infinite combos, there is a card in enchantment called Guilty Conscience. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage, it deals that amount of damage to itself. So the idea is that, like, you put down an opponent's creature, block it or whatever, the creature should kill itself. Hopefully. It's a 1-mana enchantment. Doesn't sound like too big of a thing, right?
Sure.
However, if you put that on Stuffy Doll, wait, do you know what Stuffy Doll does?
No.
Stuffy Doll is a 5-mana 0/1. As it enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever Stuffy Doll takes damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. Also, it has Indestructible. So it's essentially a voodoo doll. Oh, and also it can tap to deal 1 damage to itself. So all you have to do is put the Guilty Conscience on it, have it name a player other than you, put the Guilty Conscience on it, tap it to deal 1 damage to itself. Trigger Guilty Conscience, it deals a damage to its... Wait, no, sorry, it's not it deals damage to itself with Guilty Conscience. Guilty Conscience deals a damage to it. Duh. But whatever. Then, yeah, Guilty Conscience deals 1 damage to Stuffy Doll. Trigger, Stuffy Doll deals 1 damage to the opponent. Since Stuffy Doll dealt damage, Guilty Conscience deals a damage to the doll. The doll hurts the opponent. You create a living voodoo doll and give it a conscience just so it can torture itself to someone else's death.
What happens if the target of Stuffy Doll, like, dies or leaves, whatever?
Since Stuffy Doll can no longer deal damage to its target, it just doesn't. So the combo ends.
Can it be retargeted?
You would have to have it leave the battlefield and come back in to retarget it.
I see.
There is also another...
Commander is usually a 4-player game, right?
Yes, usually, yeah.
So...
You can do this to kill 1 player.
Stuffy Doll, clone it twice. Sorry, what?
Yeah, you can do this to kill off 1 player at least.
Oh, Stuffy Doll, clone it twice, and do the same with the Guilty Conscience. Right?
Yeah, I do actually have a Stuffy Doll clone deck. And I believe there was one game where I almost managed to get out double Stuffy Doll, double Guilty Conscience. Clone the Stuffy Doll and clone the Guilty Conscience. But there's also another aura that if you would take damage, that damage is dealt to the enchanted creature instead. And yeah, that's really nice just giving that to a creature with, like, Indestructible, but it's really nice giving that to Stuffy Doll. It's like, come on, attack me! I dare you! Come on, what are you, coward?
Yes.
However, if you put that aura on a Stuffy Doll that has named you, and the Stuffy Doll winds up taking any damage, then the game is just in an infinite loop. And if a game of Magic the Gathering goes into a mandatory infinite loop and cannot be stopped, the game is a draw.
Oh.
Because essentially, Stuffy Doll deals 1 damage to itself, Stuffy Doll deals 1 damage to itself, Stuffy Doll deals 1 damage to itself. And there is an infinite loop that is technically possible to do in black-bordered Magic, but if the loop starts, players are not actually allowed to respond to it.
Interesting.
It all relies on the card Caged Sun, a 6-mana artifact. When it ETBs, choose a color. Whenever a land you control adds mana of the chosen color, Caged Sun gives you 1 mana of that color. And I believe it's creatures you control of that color get +1/+1. So, first, Cage Sun, naming green. Second, turn Cage Sun into a creature. There are lots of ways to turn an artifact into a creature. Third, turn Cage Sun into a sapling. You can, like, give it changeling, whatever. It's definitely doable. Fourth, play one specific enchantment that has the ability of all of your forests and all of your saplings are saplings and also forests. Creatures and lands. Fifth, have one of your lands make green mana. Technically, Cage Sun could be of any color. Green is just most easy because the enchantment involved is green. And then, yeah, that's it. 6, make infinite green mana. 7, the game is a draw because mana abilities getting triggered off of mana abilities, players are not allowed to respond to mana abilities. So no one can stop. So once this gets started, nobody can stop it. You can't even spend the infinite green mana on anything, and the game is a draw.
You know what I'd love to see you make? I would love to see you make a deck built around the concept of having as many different, infinite loop draw outcomes as possible. Like, the only goal of the deck is to result in an infinite loop draw.
That would be really interesting to make, but it'd also be pretty lame to play because people don't seem to like drawing in games. Even though drawing is the best part of Magic, apparently people really tend to hate it.
I'm prepared.
The idea of Magic is that a mana ability is so fast that it cannot be responded to and can be done in response to anything as long as you have priority. So you cannot, say, stifle someone tapping a land for mana. It's supposed to be so fast that they cannot be responded to. But a mana ability is more than just tapping a land for mana. A triggered ability that does not target can be a mana ability as long as it, gives you mana. And the rules are still the same. No one can respond to a mana ability. Therefore, the Cage Sun's ability of if a land produces that color of mana, Cage Sun gives you one of that color, triggers off of itself, and it's just going by so fast that no one can react to it.
I just have to. I just love that concept of it. It's just like you're just producing so much mana that it just overwhelms everything, and so everything is a draw.
Yeah, just the entire field gets flooded, and nope. But anyway, that's the end of this Rune Factory episode. Hope you enjoyed us talking about Magic. Hey Azura, let's go play some Magic!